Well, g'day, Groovers. Welcome from Tasmania on Sunday morning on the 2nd of January. It's 2122. There's probably 83,000 YouTubers live, all bitching about other YouTubers. So why don't we do that too? Except the difference here is we can drive at the same time. No, I'm kidding. I did a bit of an early morning run to the uh, supermarket. I don't go to the supermarket a lot. I mean, I know I stop here sometimes with your groovers, but in terms of doing like a big shop, Sky Z. Hello, Michelle P. No, it's still happy. It's Happy New Year forever. Although I think it's actually early this year. Is it like the 3rd of February or something where we go into the Chinese New Year, the year of the tiger? Tiger. Hey, Scout. I just thought I'd go live. Oh, shoot. I didn't check if Bluetooth's on or not. That makes such a difference. Happy New Year, everybody. Woo-hoo. So far, so good. I'm not minding 2022, but I just thought I'd do a big supermarket run. Like I was saying at the start, I try to go to our little local markets. There's sort of two. Just going to check my Bluetooths off. There's two sort of little local markets, plus there's the community garden, and then there's also the community co-op, which is where I like to get most of my stuff. But, this Bluetooth was on. I had a feeling. I don't know if that's made any difference for you guys. Look at that sky, everybody. So I'm just doing some errands and doing them early because not many people go to the supermarket at 7:30 when it opens. So I don't like people. I don't want to be around people. I do like you people. And I love my friends and family. But other than that, I don't like people. Especially with the COVIDs now, taken off in Tassie. The figures are starting to do, well, the usual pattern of doubling. I think yesterday, you guys will laugh at this, but like yesterday, I think we went to like 438 cases or something. But I know that sounds teeny tiny when you've got America now like over 500,000 cases a day. But it's all relative. Like there's only 500,000 people on this island. You guys are getting, in America, you're getting more positive tests a day than the entire population of Tasmania. It's crazy. So to life with COVID on the island, because as you guys know, I mean, you're all regulars. We did very well here for a long time without any. Happy New Year, AJ. About justice. Hey, gorgeous. And, the government was strategic. They stalled opening up the borders until we got to like over 90% vaccinated, which is, an incredibly high percentage considering we didn't have it here. Like, there's people around the world that were very quick to get vaccinated because they had COVID all around them. And the chance of catching it was very real, whereas here, we're just all very obedient. But, there's people complaining now all over Australia about, we did so well for so long and what was the point of it? Well, the point of it was stalling to get the vaccination percentages up high enough that when Omicron started, arriving and spreading in Australia, we all had a better chance of not being completely kicked in the clucker by it. There was no way the governments could ever keep the states free of COVID. But what they needed to do was get the vaxxers, the vax statistics up high enough. Like we had, I think, 438 new cases yesterday, but so far we don't have anyone in ICU. And that speaks volumes. I'm going to want this live to turn into a vaxxers versus anti-vaxxers, but you've got to be real. Like, you know, there's no one in ICU, and the statistics for Tassie are really interesting. Like, 70% of the people that are testing positive are under the age of 50. It's all the party animals. It's all the young groovers. We'll go down. I've got to get some petrol. I'm going down to visit my sister today down on further down on the peninsula. I've got plenty of petrol, but I go back to work on Wednesday, and I'm like, if I fill up now, I won't need to fill up tomorrow or Tuesday or Wednesday. You got the dang jab? No, look, I think it was a hard decision for a lot of people, you know. But, you know, back when the vaccines were coming out, anyone that made a considered decision and looked at all the science from both sides and talked to people about their experiences and researched online and spoke to their GPs, you know, like that choice is their choice. But the people that just heard one side of the story and then sunk their heels in and not only that, but told everyone the one side they believed, they're the ones that were irritating. Especially when there were a lot of scientific rebuttals to the reasons they were giving for not getting it. And it's, you know, if they researched both sides and still decided it wasn't for them, well, all power to them. You're never going to get 100% vaccinated. But, you know, I wanted to continue living my life and also look after my own health, but also for me, and I'm glad in a way that, I mean, a lot of people aren't because they feel held to ransom, but I'm glad that a lot of things are vaccine only sort of events and stuff. But, you know, if I'd given someone else COVID and they died from it, I would have felt like absolute. And I know the vax doesn't stop me from passing it on to somebody. But it just, you know, my decision was for the. Hey, hello, happy New Year, beautiful girl. Oh, you're reminding me, Scout. I haven't put anything up on Sunny's Insta. Sleeps a lot. Like the photos are, you know, I can't do a photo a day of her sleeping. Yeah, see, Sky, you thought of the greater good too, and that's the thing, you know, that not everyone who has said no to vaccines is selfish or self-centred, but a lot of them are. You know, there's people that have got medical reasons and all the rest of it. And like I said, if people had a very strong view about it and researched both sides of the story and still decided it wasn't for them, well, I really can't. I don't have an issue with that. It's their body, their choice. I hate saying that. But what about the anti-vaxxers who did the whole my body, my choice, but they were also anti-abortion? Someone else's abortion. They're a bit wackadoodly-doo. Hey, Serenity. Wait, have you dropped B? Or are you another Serenity? Where's the bee gone? What did you do with your bee? Okay, I'm just going to get some fuel. So I don't have to later I can't believe I'm back at work on Wednesday. Shit, man. I'll tell you why in a minute too. You just prayers for serenity? What happened? Your family Christmas 9. Oh shit. Well, hopefully because you're all vaccinated, no one's going to be too badly affected by it. You did drop the bee. I'll be back in a sec, Groovers. I'm just going to fuel up. Yeah, fuel up. What am I talking about? Okay. Oh, heaps have left. Love and healing prayers. Yes. Yeah, that's rough. I mean, it's so freaking contagious. It's not surprising. But these masks are stupid, the reusable ones. I much prefer the disposable ones now because, like, I just went to a supermarket and if if a little particle landed on my mask, the cloth ones, you take them off, pop them in your handbag, whatever, and then you go to the next place and you pop them back on again. It's like stupid. You've got to have a handful of them, the cloth ones, because I prefer to only wear them once and then give them a good wash. But I'm now more into the disposable ones. You can actually breathe a lot better in them, I've found, and we have to wear them at the gym, and the disposable ones are so much easier for exercising in. I mean, some of the classes like the Les Mills bike ones, we can actually take our masks off. Like there's a few classes where if the exercise is vigorous, you are actually allowed to take your masks off. But everyone's kind of trying to wear them now, even in the bike classes. But yeah, the disposable ones, it's much easier to breathe. The cloth ones are really just fashion items. But it makes, no sense if you sort of carry one cloth mask and you're taking it on and off and getting it, if there's a particle on it and then it gets on your hand and, yeah, I hope you know what I'm saying. Aviable Ninja, hello. Happy New Year, Groover. Gang. How you doing, mate? How you finding 2022? Oh, so I'm gonna have a little vent about my break, my annual leave break. All I wanted to do in the 10 days I think that I had off was read a book from cover to cover. And I bought a book and I haven't even read the first page. Now, I could have read some of it yesterday. I could have started it yesterday. I went to the beach and the surf was sort of low to medium when I got there, and I knew that it was going to pick up a bit more. So I just kind of patiently sat there and waited. And I could have chewed through a couple of chapters of a book while I was down there. But I didn't. First time I've been to the beach, I didn't take my book. So I still haven't started the book. It's Sunday. I go back to work on Wednesday. There's no way I'm going to read it from cover to cover in a couple of days because it's quite a fatty boomba book. And obviously there's a lot of social stuff that happens over Christmas, New Year's. And I mean, I'm talking very low key, like I do not like crowds of people at all. I never, well, no, that's not true. I used to. I don't now, though. Go down to the surf beach. So, like, my Christmas Eve, there were 4 of us, which was our Christmas dinner. I had a family one a few weeks before, and there were how many of us? 6 max. And that was before the borders even opened up. And then Christmas morning, I went to a brunch and there were 10 of us. That's the biggest group of people I've been in for the last few weeks. Boxing Day, there were 4 of us. New Year's Eve, there were three of us. Why am I even talking about this shit? I don't know. Groups, crowds of people. No idea. But anyway, I've been out and about socialising is what I was going to say, but not in large groups. And I've had a bit of time at home too. But since July last year, my fucking horrible neighbours who bought a shack, who are really entitled. Etienne, hello. Oh, it's another gang. G'day, Groover. We've got some really fucking awful neighbours, guys. They're not permanent residents. They bought a shack. I'd give anything for the guy who used to own it to come back because he was such a cruiser. Members down. Oh, now I've got a cough. Like, Pete was just a groover. He was a typical shack owner. He was like, that's my shack. It's my serenity. I'm just going to chill out for a week over summer. yes, he did go through a spell of walking around his backyard stark naked, and the neighbour directly behind him found that a bit confronting. But for the most part, lovely to meet you too, Yen. But for the most part, Pete was good value. And then unfortunately he sold the shack, and the people who bought it have been nothing but entitled cockheads since they bought it in 2020. First up, they put up a trampoline and clearly don't really give two hoots about their children, because the kids seem to be on this trampoline 24/7. Hello, David Topping. And some of you might remember back then I was recording for Print Radio, which is like a radio station down here for the visually impaired. And I couldn't get an episode of the show down because of the squealing in the background. So I had a deadline, and they were walking past my place one day, and I just said to them, hey there, I don't want to be an asshole neighbour, but just letting you know, I work from home and I record a radio show. Would it be okay if your kids weren't on the trampoline like for the next hour or so? Because they were coming back from the beach, and I knew that meant the kid would be thrown onto the trampoline, or the kids would be put out on the trampoline pretty much. I said, I just need to get a show down, but I can't submit a show with the sound of your kids in the background. And the mother looked at me and said, you try living in that tiny little shack with those kids. And I was like, what's that got to do with fucking anything? I mean, I didn't say that to her. It's high tide at the moment, kiddos. I'm going for a swim every day this year for as long as I can before my brain freezes. I've got a neighbour who swims every day of the year. He's done it 2 years in a row. I'm not that keen. Punish Dad, hello, beautiful. Happy New Year, mate. So, yeah, that was her response. Wasn't, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. Of course, not a problem. In fact, here's my number. You know, just call me when you need to record a show, and I'll take the kids to the beach, or I'll make sure that we're doing something inside with them or something. No. You try living in that tiny house with, and it's not tiny, but shack, with those kids. I'm like, okay. Then the next thing they did was, because of where their shack is, they're on a hill, and they need to walk down the hill into the cul-de-sac below, along that road, and then turn right, and then go quite a long way. A little surfer dude, little surfy kid with the blonde beach hair, cute. And it's not that long a walk, but it's longer than going like along the track in front of my house down to the beach. So what did they do? They cut a fucking hole in the fence, the council fence, and put a gate in. So they can just go whoop, down the track and in front of me, and they're on the beach. Instead of going the way they should, they just completely didn't give a fuck. Just put a gate in. Anyway, since July last year, they have started building 3 illegal structures, 2 decks, and now a studio, a self-contained, almost like a tiny house. And on top of that, they've also cut a whopping great hole in one of the walls and put in sliding doors. Now, everything they're doing needs council approval. Do you reckon they've got it? Nope. And on top of that, buy a fucking nail gun, because they have been manually hammering from 6 p.m. till when it goes dark here in summer, which is like 10 p.m. Bang, bang, bang. I've got double glazing and I can hear it. It's actually making my brain rattle in my skull. And everyone around them, we're all just like at our wits' end, and they're down for the whole summer. And it's like, we're all going back to work this week, everyone that lives around them. And we've only had one day yesterday of no banging since July. Well, that's not true. There's probably been some days, I don't know. I mean, I do go to town to work, obviously, but like, seriously, they're just horrible. None of you care. Anyway, there's my event. I'm throwing it out there because honestly, it's doing our heads in. And you're all for sticking a finger up to council laws and permissions, but I agree fully with the nail gun. Well, I don't know. I mean, when people are just completely flouting it and building all this shit and banging nails in by hand, and when council's curfew for noise is like no power tools before 10 a.m. on weekends, but hand tools, they can do it whenever they want, and it's really unpleasant to wake up to the sound of hammering every fucking day for weeks on end, especially when you're on your little break. Unsinkable Bob. Someone's put a note in Discord, clearly, because you're all rolling on in. Hello. But yeah, get a friggin' nail gun, but no, manually. So I had on Boxing Day, I had my uncle and auntie and my cousin visited, and then my sister, and we're all sitting out on the deck, and it was so bad we all had to go inside. Like, it's just hand hammering is so fucking bad. Mad Wonka? Or is it Wanker? No, Mad Wonka. Hello. The gang's all here. Yeah, but an angle grinder you can't start till 10 a.m. at least. Exactly. Look at that view. Have a late night potluck dinner bonfire to celebrate. Well, do you know what I want to do? I didn't know this, but anyone in Australia in the chat, if you've got the Telstra app on your phone, there's a thing called Telstra Plus, and you accumulate points. I had no friggin' idea that I must have agreed to Telstra Plus at some point, but right before Christmas, I got the brand new waterproof Fitbit, because I want every fucking minute I spend in the ocean to count. And I got another little Bluetooth speaker, and I was thinking, maybe I'll just hide that down in the scrub right next to their place and just blast like the worst death metal ever. You're an Optus boy? We have to have Telstra here. And where I live, there's no other network that's reliable. And plus we get Telstra Countrywide where I am, and they are actually really good. They're better than the inner city residential Telstra. Because we're considered to be a remote area, which is hilarious. Like, we're half an hour out of Hobart. Some trolling songs, yeah. I was thinking, fuck it, fight fire with fire. But yeah, I get that people don't like all the council regulations, but seriously, these guys are just taking the piss. And yeah, swimming does. If you've got to be in the water for 15 minutes and doing, like actual swimming or surfing or boogie boarding, like fairly consistently before the steps start being counted, but it doesn't take long to get into that range. But minus 30 to minus 40. Where are you, David? Holy shit. You probably should use Telstra because you don't get any options. Yeah, see, there you go. I actually worked for Optus when they first came to Australia. It was a part-time job. I was studying. I made so much money. I made and I was a uni student. This is in the very early 90s or very late 80s, I think. We made between 700 and 1,000 a week as part-timers because so many people were pissed off with Telstra. They all signed up for Optus. In Canada, because I was thinking with using the Celsius. Saskatchewan, Canada. Nice. I probably just mispronounced that. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to flaunt it like a dickhead. So we're all kind of at our wits' end because it really does that banging. Like my poor neighbour, she hasn't got double glazing. And now that they've cut this whopping great hole in the house and put in sliding doors, she can hear them talking inside their house when she's inside her house with the windows shut. Well, she woke up the other morning going, "Who's talking?" And it was the cunty neighbours. Well, when Optus first came out in Australia, the deals were so good that you couldn't blame people for jumping ship from Telstra because Telstra just couldn't match it. But yeah, that was such a good part-time job. I was earning more than I am now, probably. I can't even remember what my salary is where I'm working. It's not very big. And I'm a lawyer. I'm a community lawyer, but back then I was a little rep for Optus, signing people up, and I made a killing. So anyway, I've thrown the neighbourhood. We're all just kind of going, can you just give us a few more days of peace before we all go back to work? Because they're down here till like the middle of February. So, doesn't bother them, but we're all like, thank you for banging. Like even on Christmas Eve, it was relentless. They gave us Christmas Day off and they gave us New Year's Day off, and that was it. Since July. Unbelievable. So I might go live tonight. I wanted to do the year that was, but I think that's been covered surely by people on, well, at least news and stuff. Like I feel like on the 2nd of Jan, it's all about the new year. You'll come and intimidate them, punish Dad? It is so kind of them. You camp outside their house. It's just really fucked. There's nothing we can do except, I'm not going to lie, a few of us have rung council to make innocent inquiries and sort of said, oh, it looks like they're building a cottage. I mean, it is. It's a studio. It's a little self-contained studio with a little mezzanine floor where they're going to put the little bedroom. They're setting up, like Enviro plumbing and all that sort of stuff next to it. So it's illegal. So are the decks. The actual studio, if it wasn't going to be self-contained, is fine because the rules were changed about 18 months ago, so you don't need council approval for relatively large structures now. They've been a bit more generous with that. So, like, you can put in a decent-sized shed and stuff without getting council approval. But as soon as you turn it into a dwelling, you need approval. But then the 2 decks are probably not built to code, and the cutting an entire hole in the wall of your house and putting in this big sliding door, that needs approval too. So we all dropped the street name numerous times in the phone call and we all described the studio as a cottage. But it's just their attitude. Like, we've all asked them really nicely. I mean, I had guests out on my deck and they're like, I hope you don't mind the banging. Well, I'm not that kind of person that's going to go, well, actually, we fucking do. So I'm like, as long as you don't start at 4 a.m. Everything you built had council permission. Well, yes. And look, I used to work for a title insurance company. I mean, we covered illegal structures and things that weren't built to council codes and so on. It was a pretty amazing product, actually, because so many people buy properties that have illegal structures and stuff like that. And as soon as you get slapped with a notice or an order to fix it, you can be talking big bucks. So if anyone is buying a house, I cannot recommend title insurance enough. It could end up saving you a lot of money. And the premiums are one-off and it's very cheap. Look at me, I'm still flogging the product and I don't even work for them anymore, but it is a really good product. Like if these wankers ever sell their place, and they won't, I think we're stuck with them forever because everyone wants to move here. The poor person that buys it could end up having to pull all of it down. But the chick at council I spoke to sounded like she was stoned. I don't think she gave a flying flip. She's not sending anyone out to have a look and see what activity is happening at their place. But yeah, I'm throwing it out there. There will be no banging today. I won't get through the book, but I might be able to read some of it. I'm going to go and see my beautiful sister this afternoon and have a belated New Year's bubbles and nibbles platter with her, which will be lovely. And I might go live tonight, just do a who's got stuff they want to talk about. That seagull is so cute. It's got a huge fluffy sort of twiggy thing in its beak. It must be building a little nest somewhere. You want to move here with your two puppy dogs? I want you to move here too, Scout. You'd be able to house sit Sunny if I had to go to town and stay the night. She was so annoyed with me for leaving her at home on her own because I couldn't get anyone to house sit for a night. It was Christmas Eve. Like, who's going to be like, yeah, for sure. So she had, I had my neighbour pop in the morning on Christmas morning and feed her, but she was pissed off with me for like 4 days. And then when I put some shoes on the other day to go on New Year's Eve to go to the little neighbourhood gathering we had of all three of us, the sound of my shoes on the floor, she knows, like they're shoes that I sometimes wear to work as well. And she sat on the rug, like sat upright, but did the head down, just looking at the rug with the saddest look on her face that I was leaving her again. She's so spoiled. But then when I go to when I'm in the right mood for her to play or something, she's like, no, fuck you. Hide the speaker. What are they going to do? Complain to the council. Well, there's no music curfew during the day. Oh, one of your cats keeps catching little buddies. No idea how he does it because he's so fat because he's eating them too. Oh look, don't, I mean my biscuit. She was when I rescued her, she was 9 kilos, and I didn't think she could jump. And she got a minor bird. I mean, it got out because I slammed the sliding door shut, and she freaked out and let go of it. But it blew me away. Like this cat could fly. Hi, Sandra. Happy New Year, gorgeous. It is. She is Auntie Scout's girl. You know, Auntie Scout, I'm starting to get comments on Instagram and stuff. People are going, "Oh my God, she's so beautiful." I'm actually a little bit jealous. Like there are people that are jealous that I have a cat that is pretty. All animals are beautiful. Like Sunny is an exceptional looking little floof, but it kind of made me laugh that someone was like, "I'm jealous." So 2022 is an interesting year. I think all the twos are really good. Two's my lucky number. So I'm a little bit excited about that anyway. One of your cats will scream at you until you look at the mouse she killed and then she'll eat it. Oh my God, what a bitch. They can be such assholes. The only thing Sunny does with me is she emotionally manipulates me. She plays the sad, tragic. I mean, seriously, her sitting upright on the rug and just looking down at it with this forlorn face because I was wearing shoes that meant, I was going to be leaving the house. Unbelievable. That's cool. You found your cat. Any resolutions? I don't do resolutions. Because, I mean, I am going for a swim every day this year until it gets too cold. At least she doesn't bring it inside, still alive to play with it. She just wants to show off a catch. Yeah, well, that's good. It's nothing worse when you've got a slightly mauled something brought into the house by the cat and they're flapping around or running around. That's creepy. Yummy. Burps that good. Who burped? Mine is a positive and to be motivated this year. Yeah, I mean, I think we all go, like people go into New Year with all sorts of hopes and plans. And I think I'm just I guess if I have a resolution, last year I had my life so sort of curated and it ended up being impossible to stick to everything that I'd sort of committed to. So this year I'm more like, just do certain things. So, like, one thing I do every morning now, which I never used to do, I'm a shocker for just getting up and making a coffee, but now I'm having a glass of water every morning before I do anything else. I know that might sound really minor, but it makes a massive difference to how you feel. He either found his cap or his swiped a new cap. It's pretty feral cap, but he had a look at the tag and it had his initials on it. So, I mean, if it's not his cap, he has literally just taken a really scuzzy, battered, stained, frayed cap. So, the cat burped. Cashew, I'm sure, is frolicking and having a lovely time. Yes, drink the water first too. Yeah, I used to be the same punish dad, and now I'm just like, I think it was Dr. Duck Wong who I love on YouTube. If you do want to follow the sort of COVID story because you're interested in it, which I am, not for doom and gloom reasons and not because of fear. I'm just fascinated by this. I can't believe we're living in a time that this is happening. It's fascinating to me, but I think he's the one who said, just drink a glass of water first before you do anything else. And the health benefits are crazy because we actually wake up dehydrated. So it makes sense to shove some water in your face. Healthy goals. Well, some healthy goals. There's still other poor lifestyle choices I make, but, I'm about to turn 55 and I kind of feel that I've made it this far. I don't want to put my body in shock because I suddenly go super healthy. Although I think I'm maybe going to do a stricter eating plan. I'm actually going to plan my meals a bit more this year. That's something I need to do. It's so easy to just go, shit, it's 2:00. Have I even eaten yet? I can't believe I had to get a vaccine passport to be allowed to go outside when you're already a recluse. Oh. Oh, yeah. You need that their passport. Oh, it is the best view of the year so far. I agree. I mean, look at it. I love that you guys appreciate the view. It kind of bums me that so many people that flock to YouTube channels, um, where it's just like they don't cam up and they're literally just bitching for like 6 hours about someone, and there's hundreds of people that want to, and they're all chatting, so they're all sitting at a computer or a phone, just watching that for hours on end. And I'm like, come with me for an hour and we'll go to the beach. No, I don't know a good estate lawyer in Toronto, Sandra, but you could call Stuart Title. They're in Canada and their clients are estate lawyers, and ask for some recommendations. Our head office for the international groups in, I think it's in Toronto actually, but yeah, ring up a title insurer. You want to do some fishing over there on the rocks? Never really see people fishing there. You'd be better off around the corner at the jetty, and the boat ramp. It is pretty gorgeous. Stuart Title. Look at me flogging the company I used to work for like a champion. So it's Stuart is Stewart Title. And because their clients are all conveyancers and estate lawyers, they'd be able to make some recommendations for sure. Nudie run. No worries, Sandra. Hopefully they can help you. I know we had a streaker. I do worry about that. I think, God, I don't want to. Hopefully you didn't see too much. Yeah, so I think I'll do a live tonight so people just want to hang out and do stuff. Don't forget, people who love batshit, this week it's on Thursday night, not Wednesday night, because I'm actually working. I don't normally work on a Wednesday, but I am this week. Wednesday and Thursday. So Thursday night. Hey, Ozzy. What do you know? I know that I just threw my issues with my annoying neighbour, the illegal builder, out into the ocean to floats away. I'm going down to see my sissy this afternoon and have some belated New Year's catching up with her. And then tonight I'll do a live, I reckon. Just turn on the live button and see what happens. Yesterday I was going because it actually got quite hot and I'd been at the beach and I decided to stay indoors for a little while. I couldn't believe how many YouTube channels were live just bitching about other creators. It's like, really? It's your New Year's Eve and that's all you're doing? So I nearly went live and I was just going to play the recorder for like 6 hours straight and see if anyone came in, and if they did, for how long they lasted. Ruth, hello, beautiful. No one's ever late to my lives. when you roll in is when you roll in. Sounds like a plan. Yeah, because I honestly, yesterday I was like, really? You guys are, it's New Year's Eve and you're all live bitching? And then, they'd go, oh, hang on a sec. It's midnight. Happy New Year. And then they go back to their bitching again. And there were hundreds of people flocking. And then channels that tried to, play some games and do a little bit of a gathering for people that were at home and wanted to hang out somewhere, they had really low numbers. And all these other channels that are just, once again, broken record recordings going on and on and on and on and on, had hundreds of people. It's baffling. So this year I'm going to be a drama channel. I'm not, but I did say to Mel yesterday, I said, I'm going to do a live scene called YouTubers I Hate and see how many people come flocking, and it'll literally be me playing the recorder. And you guys all know that the only thing I hate is the word hate, so you know that if that was in my title, that there's no way I'm going to be live talking about anything I hate, except for the word hate. An online recorder concert sounds way better than ours of bitchy YouTubers rambling on. Oh, Lindley's singing. Oh, that's true. Lindley could do a concert. But no, I'll get, my usual number of people. And don't get me wrong, I'm all about quality over quantity. But it's just really frustrating. These channels that just arrive, start bitching about someone they don't like, day in, day out, and they just have people flocking in the droves. They're monetized, they're getting super chats, and you're like, this is such a warped world, this YouTube world. And I love our little community and what we offer here, but I just can't get my head around this stuff. I can't reconcile it. It makes no sense. How are there that many people on the planet that are so desperate to listen to somebody else literally bitch about someone for hours on end? How's it possible? And throw money at them for doing it. It's really warped. Really, really warped. Oh, did you, Sandra? What movies did you watch? Peace out, lady. Great to see. Oh, hang on. I nearly put you in timeout. I didn't want to do that. See you, gorgeous. Happy New Year. You watched Mrs. Brown's Boys? Yeah, so I mean, it baffles me that people don't get sick of the sound of their own voices saying the same shit day in, day out. But it makes me even more confused about why so many people keep tuning in for it, and so many people throw money at these people. Like, they've got, hundreds of members and all these super chats, and it's like, what? How? Like, why? So we'll continue to analyze and talk about what we all see on YouTube, because there'll be a whole new, you watch this year, there'll be the 2022 Natasha Cooper's going to arrive on the scene, and then there'll be all these new channels spouting, and people throwing money at them. And Ruth, thank you. I love Cary Grant. Oh, what a what a what a hunk. Because they don't have to deal with themselves. Well, so look at other. Yeah, there's probably an element of that for sure, that it makes them feel better about themselves. But day in, day out, like, it's fucking Groundhog Day. And, what's going to happen to all these channels when, say, for example, all the channels that are exposing Natasha Cooper, like if and when she's no longer on the platform, if they haven't got somebody new to target and they're just trying to do, you know, games and quizzes and stuff, they're going to see very quickly their numbers drop significantly. And I think if you sort of launch onto the scene, and there were new channels that happened too last year. I mean, the Chris Watts Netflix documentary brought in this whole new group of people that had never heard of that case before, or had heard of it but had never followed it. And they all started channels that were monetized in a minute, you know, and it happens every year. And there were other people that just came to YouTube to rip people to shreds, and they had rapid channel growth as well. It's always the most tragic, never done anything people sitting in their bedroom talking about it. But yeah, I agree. I do need to give it a bone. Give it a bone. And not a happy bone. So yeah, it's a sort of weird thing that we can talk about. We're never going to know the answers. We're never going to, well, we might, because I agree. I think there is a huge part of people watching other people ripping someone to shreds as an element of them, like you suggested, you know, feeling better about themselves. I mean, even the creator going live for 6 hours a day and whinging about it probably makes people feel better about themselves. They do. They spend and seething's a perfect word for it. So much seething. And are they going to be lying on their deathbed saying, I am so glad I spent 7 years of my life on YouTube seething? No, they're not. They'll be seething that they did that when they're on their deathbed. Like I used to say, you know, imagine all of these creators that do these marathon lives. Imagine what a difference they would have been making to the planet if they'd spent 5 of each of those 6 hours volunteering. Or helping a community, or even using their online platforms to do something good. You know, or working on a cure for cancer or whatever. The amount of time. And I know COVID made us all a little bit housebound, but people can be creative on YouTube. I think negative people commiserate together to see who's the, hey, nothing wrong with nuts in the bunch. But you're right. Because it's not even train wreck viewing. Like when I first came to YouTube, train wrecks were train wrecks, and they were addictive and they were fun to watch. This is just men and women bitching. And I avoid bitches in my real life. Oh, Aussie Trisha, hello, Happy New Year. You're so generous. Thank you, beautiful girl. That's a big thank you from Sunny. I can't remember who it was when I started memberships. They were like, Sunny's going to miss out. I'm like, no, she's not. She's spoiled rotten. I can afford my Sunny bum, but it does all go into Sunny's little account. So thank you. I hope you had a lovely New Year's. I feel so positive about this year. I think people are just a bit more relaxed too, because if you look at 2021, it was kind of the year of the false starts. I think it might have even been Dr. Wong who described it that way, and it really resonated with me. It really was the year of false starts, or it might have been someone in Australia who said it. But, you know, like, we'll be coming out of lockdown and then no, bang, you're not. And, you know, all around the world, people were given this sort of positive news and then everything had turned to shit. And I think we've all just accepted that you can't get your hopes up with this new world we're living in. You've just got to take each day at a time and make the most of it. So I think people are just starting to get a bit more relaxed about it, because it's like it's here, it's that, it's out in the community. We just have to do our best to not catch it and not pass it on to other people. But yeah, I think it feels like a good year. I think it's going to be a good year for all of us. You run like hell when it comes to bitches, but I'm a hypocrite because you've been called a bitch twice. People say bitch though, like that was something that. Do you remember a few years ago on YouTube, you'd tune into a channel and they'll be like, fuck you, bitch. Go fuck yourself, bitch. And they just use the word so much. I mean, you don't really have to be a bitch to be called a bitch, especially on YouTube. I do story time on Zoom for my community. I read either in costumes. Oh, do you? Or you have a guest in costumes. That's beautiful, Scout. In 2020, I did a lot of Zoom things. I had like games nights, and we played so many different games. Like we played Cards Against Humanity. We did quizzes. We did What Do You Mean? We did Trivial Pursuit. Played lots and lots of games and stuff. And people really loved it, but it actually ended up causing me anxiety because, everyone would be in there ready to go, and then someone's internet wouldn't be working, and they'd be messaging me saying, "Can we do it on Facebook?" And I was like, "I can't. I've got like 14 people ready to go. I'll be doing another one tomorrow." So it ended up causing, like, I did it to help people's anxiety, but it made me anxious. It's a lovely thing that Scout does, isn't it? At the mercy of the algorithm. You've had a load of fuckwits raving it up around here over Christmas. Your numbers are so high. And they don't care. And I think one of the reasons they don't care is because all of the science is indicating that the symptoms and the recovery and everything with Omicron is so much less severe. But the thing is, there's no data yet about what kind of long COVID people are going to get from it. And these young people don't realise that they're actually sentencing themselves to a very difficult life if they do get long COVID. And there's just isn't the data yet about that. But the other thing they don't realise too is the pressure that they're putting on all of the resources that we rely on so heavily. It's not just hospitals that are going to be overwhelmed and turning people away. Cops are going to catch it. Emergency responders are going to catch it. Like, businesses are going to be working with the tiny little skeleton crews. Like, it's going to radiate and it's going to impact everyone's life. So yeah, they're kind of a bit stupid doing this because we don't know about long COVID yet with it, but also the strain they're putting on all of the resources. Again, Dr. Duck Vuong was saying, please don't go out and party on New Year's Eve because so many people get in car accidents or they fall over because they're drunk and hurt themselves, or, they land on a glass coffee table or whatever. And he said, you're going to rock up at the hospital and you've got staff that are already incredibly stressed because they've got half of their staff on leave with COVID. And the ones that are still at the hospital are angry because they've got all of these people that actually need treatment, and they're not going to care about people rolling into the hospital who've been in car accidents because they don't have the beds. But nobody's sort of thinking about this stuff. You've had long COVID for a year now. Oh, you poor thing, David. But I think, people that have long COVID, there's a lot of information starting to filter out now about it. And I think if people just watched a couple of videos on YouTube or Googled some articles and read about it, they'd take much bigger precautions. Yeah, I mean, the hospitals are now begging people to, but it's going to filter out. So, like, we're going to have less cops on the ground. Look at all the flights that have been cancelled because of, half the airline crews um, are quarantining. I didn't see Times Square. I was going to. I usually watch it, but I didn't this year. I mean, it's interesting here, the cases that we've got. Um, the majority of them, 70% of them are under 50. And I think if you then look at like the 20 to 39 age group, 80% of people are in that age group. And I just think, fuck, if you're 21 years old and you're not giving a flip about getting COVID and then you get it, and yeah, okay, you might have 3 or 4 days of feeling a little bit shit with Omicron, but then the long COVID stuff starts to kick in, you're sentencing yourself to a lifetime of serious health issues. And I find that really bizarre that they're not looking beyond, I mean, I'm all for living in the moment and living for the day, but with something like this, you've got to look at the risks, not just the immediate ones, but long term as well. Not to mention giving it to all of your family members, and it's just crazy. And again, it goes back to that whole. There's two types of people on the planet. There's the I wants and there's the we needs. And I'm thrilled I'm in the we needs. And I'm thrilled the people in my life are all we needs. We're all looking out for the greater good. I couldn't handle being in a group of I want type people right now because they're twerps. I mean, I'm feeling bad because I bought my best mate and his partner and myself. I bought us 3 tickets to go to see Yotam Ottolenghi. I think he's being like beamed in as a hologram type thing, like they did on MasterChef Australia this year. At Rest Point Casino, and there'll be like a couple of thousand people at it. It's a mask event. But I'm almost feeling guilty that I'm putting the three of us in this crowd of people. I didn't really think it through. Yeah, send out positive vibes, everyone, for David. That's a lovely comment, Ruth. I'm going to wrap up in a minute. I'm going to head home. My sister just messaged. She wants me to take some of my pig face from my garden, which is a really beautiful kind of round coverage succulent with stunning flowers on it down to her face so she can pop some in her soil today. No taste, no smell, stroke, finger and toes, cold and useless, incredibly thirsty. David, no, that sounds horrific. And this is the thing. What are these young people doing? Like, yeah, live in the moment, but take some precautions. The number of people who brought COVID home with them at Christmas and have given it to their mums and dads and their grandparents and stuff, it's like, I'd never live with myself. I'm actually grateful to not have any elderly relatives that I'm in contact with. Like, West Point's where you went for your honeymoon. Cute. The bit we're in wasn't there when you were there in '76, a sort of convention centre that they built on. That came a lot later. I think that was more in the '80s. When you were there, it would have been the tower and the old part, probably. Did you go and have a dance at Regine's nightclub? You're 67. And it's hard enough getting old with all the health issues that we have to deal with, let alone throwing that crap into the mix as well. You poor thing. Lots of love to you, David. There's a lot of healing vibes being sent your way, mate. You're so cute. You came to Tassie for your honeymoon and stayed at Rest Point, Australia's oldest casino. All right, kid, look, so I'm going to finish this. I will go live tonight, but I know that's not ideal for a lot of people in other time zones. Oh my God, there's a guy down there with a metal detector, but I saw him walking along the beach and I thought he was blind and had like a cane because he's got dark glasses on. And but I hope everyone does take care and look out for my recorder concert soon. Oh, I went on the USS Enterprise too. That doesn't happen anymore. That's one thing that, COVID stopped were all of those naval ships from other countries that used to come into Hobart. But there's quite a few people I know who ended up marrying Marines, including my best friend, although she didn't actually meet him off a ship that came into Hobart, but quite a few other girls did marry dudes they met from the ship. And she actually met Brian at in Thailand. They were both in Thailand on holidays, but yeah, but I remember the USS Enterprise coming in several times. Yep, last minute Happy New Year's to everyone. You're thorough, AJ, about justice. You're so thorough. I just hope this whole, we're all going to catch the thing doesn't make people complacent. I think, we can all take precautions, but at the end of the day, we are talking about an incredibly contagious um, variant, and even people that are doing all the right things are catching it. Like there was a woman or a man, can't remember now. It was in an article, and apart from one trip out to like literally to a little store that's next door to them for 5 minutes, and it's probably where he or she caught it, but the chances of them catching it, like they literally walked in and bought some milk and walked out again. But the article was describing it as like people are catching it who've been ultra conservative, and it's almost like it's flying in people's windows. That was how it was described. You're 67 on the 23rd of this month. You were 21 then. Well, happy birthday to you on the 23rd. I'm 55 in 10 days. We're January babies, Aussie Trisha. Although you'd be in Aquarius, right? Or are you right on the cusp? I'm a boring Capricorn. Well, I mean, I love Dr. Duck Fong, where people are constantly berating people because of their fear. And I love that he's like, no, people are just being reasonable. Like they're making those decisions because they know that life will be easier for them if they don't take extreme risks. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're on the cusp. Caps are great. Except Aussie Trisha, every time like you look at a star sign for the week, it's always about brand names, prestige, career, ambition. I've always I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to my careers, and I've always been a really hard worker, but I've never aspired to own I'm in a fucking Suzuki Swift, for God's sake. I have owned some pretty nice cars throughout my life, but I'm not brand focused, like I'm quite happy to decorate my house with shit from Kmart and Target. I don't wear designer clothes and jewelry and glasses and handbags. Oh my God, though, the bag my sister gave me for Christmas. Oh my God, it's a handmade leather bag. My God, it's so beautiful. But it's handmade, it's not a brand. But yeah, it's always about ambition. Like everyone else gets, things about love and romance and money and fortune. And I get keep working hard. It's like, it's all I've ever done. You're an airy fairy. See, I mean, Ruth, whether you talk about, you don't want to go anywhere, like, don't look at it as fear. Look at it as you're able to do that, and it's a rational decision you've made for your own mental well-being. I mean, I'm not overly thrilled that I have to go to town on Wednesday to go to work and Thursday. Like, I feel safe as houses down here, even though there's been positive cases down where I live, but I feel very safe here. And yes, peace, love, light, and laughter to all Scout. Working hard is overrated. You're closer to being a cat than an Aquarian. I drive a 2004 Toyota, have plenty locked away, but shopping up shops. Yeah, well, that's smart. I know you can't get out, Ruth, but look, I mean, I'd be quite happy pottering down here for the rest of my life. If I didn't have to go into Hobart ever again, it would not bother me at all. But on Wednesday, I have to. But luckily, I can just go to the car park. It's right next to the building where I work. I'm taking my lunch. I'm not going out to get coffees or anything like that. We've got a mask up in the building. There's hand sanitizers on every wall. We're not doing face-to-face appointments. But I'm not going to lie, I'd be much happier working from home. Much happier. Because the worst thing about COVID, well, not the worst thing is it can kill you. But one of the worst things about it is we are all relying on other people to be reasonable, and people just aren't. A lot of people just aren't reasonable. They don't care about other people. They don't look out for other people. They just do what they want to do. And in this day and age with COVID, if people haven't worked out that the world now is about looking out for other people, then they're never going to change, unfortunately. So, yeah, I mean, I can minimise my exposure significantly when I go to town to work, but I would much prefer to work from home. But unfortunately, our organisation isn't offering that option at the moment. So, yeah, into town I'll be going. You'll have to hold my hand on Wednesday morning when I drive back in. Love to everyone, Sandra, and yes, and thank you for a great life. Oh, it was a pretty chill one. You want a wand and pot of jelly beans, and fairies need wings. They do. I'm not sure what the statement was, Scout, but thank you. You're scared of going out with diabetes. Well, exactly. You've got to look after yourself. But again, I think we all need to shift our thinking a bit on this. Don't berate yourself about being too scared. You're being very, very reasonable and very sensible. You're being sensible. You'll hold my hand. Thank you, Ruth. I'll hold yours right back. Although, no, we've got an elbow bump. Is that back in again? I can't remember. But yeah, let's all shift our way of thinking and not look at it as fear. You're just being sensible. Because if you caught it because you weren't sensible, the ramifications are way worse than if you are sensible and take whatever precautions you need to avoid getting it. We need to use positive words in the way we're all approaching this, and see it. It is just the way the world is right now. We didn't create this world for ourselves. It's just the way the world is right now. So just pat yourself on the back and say, I'm not scared. I'm being sensible. That's if we're going to. We talked about resolutions earlier. If that can be our resolution, then the resolution is we're going to start using positive words in how we are responding and reacting to this global pandemic. We're being reasonable, we're being sensible, we're being considerate, we're being thoughtful, we're aware, we're being selfless. Think of it that way, because all those words apply. And on that note, that deep profundity, thank you again, Ozzy Fisher, for your little New Year, not little, but your very generous little offering to the Sunny Fund. That's incredibly sweet. Melbourne was in lockdown for so long. People are being foolish now. We're out. I'm pretending we're still in lockdown and taking all the precautions. My mum is 91. You do have to keep her safe. And one of the things that somebody said, I think it was Dr. Norman Swan, who's a doctor in Australia who does a podcast called CoronaCast. It's still going, but they've been on leave, I think, since about the 17th of December. But one of the first things that he said that really resonated with me was you should, with COVID, is act like everyone's got it and you react in that way. There's nothing wrong with pretending you're still in lockdown or you're still self-isolating. And I self-isolate as much as I can. I'm also going to be very strict about who can come into my house this year. My neighbour who moved here from Melbourne and experienced lockdown, she was saying that one thing that they did, because if you live on your own, you do actually end up in the vulnerable people definition. But she said, one thing we could all do is like pull out chairs out onto the street outside our houses and catch up from a distance. Just we can all adapt. We can still have social contact without putting anyone else at risk or ourselves at risk. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Exactly. Bye, beautiful groovers. See you again soon. Wishing you bags of blessings for 2022. Sounds fantastic, AJ. And thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me. I might see a few of you groovers tonight. I don't know what we're going to do. I'll think of something. But until then, look at this day. I don't know if I'm going to have a swim today. I don't feel like going in there. Maybe later. It might clear later on. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Happy New Year, and see you all again very soon. Bye, beautiful people.